sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support you are showing me here with. I am grateful. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about everybody weighing in on how Israel is fighting tooth and nail to make sure that Black people are supporting them. And also there is also a video in between that talks about how like the KKK also rejoiced over the of Black people and all that. And so some people are actually like, there are some Black Jews that are Jewish, I don't know how to, some Black Jews that are saying that they are proud of supporting Israel over what is going on, and some are saying that Black people shouldn't abandon the Jewish during this time, because this is the time that they needed Black people more. So Black people should support them irrespective. And I am asking, why are you people really so keen on Black people supporting you all? I mean, they should stop using Black people as a political tool, because that is how I see it. You all use Black people at any time you all feel like, I mean, like it's time for us to tell them what to do, and they will do it on our behalf. And no, it's no longer that time. Black people already know what they want, and they know where they stand. And some are also quoting Martin Luther King Jr.'s quotes, saying that he supported the Jewish back then, and Black people should also be in support of what is going on. And sincerely speaking, you all should stop using Black people as a political tool and let Black people be. Let them support whoever they want to support. Stop telling them who to support and who not to support. Let's get into this video.
You want to know what's pissing me off? That's not how I rehearsed it. Okay. The Israeli propaganda machine has been fighting tooth and nail for Black support, and I wish they would do that with even a little bit of knowledge of Black history, or with a little bit of respect for Black people at all. For example, in regards to pro-Palestinian protests on university campuses, a business professor opens his mouth and says,
"So, is a student organization celebrating a lynching of an African-American male free speech?"
Who's going to tell him that there were student organizations who celebrated the lynchings of African-American men? Who is going to tell him that the KKK was actually a student organization on several college campuses? Who's going to tell him that very similar atrocities are happening still to Black Americans and to Black people across the diaspora? Look at the Congo, look at Sudan, like what? And then Juliana Margulies goes on a podcast and is absolutely unhinged.
Movement. The Jews were the ones that walked side by side with the Blacks to fight for their rights, because they know. And now the Black community isn't embracing us and saying, we stand with you the way you stood with us. Jews died for their cause. Where's the history lesson in that? Who's teaching these kids? Because the fact that the entire Black community isn't standing with us, to me, says either they just don't know, or they've been brainwashed.
Like, are y'all hearing it? We all hear that, right? Did y'all hear how all the stereotypes came flooding back? All of a sudden, we were a group of uneducated people who came from bad households who were not teaching us right. It is no secret that the Black struggle, the Palestinian struggle, the Jewish struggle, the indigenous struggle are all connected. That the people with the most anti-Blackness to unpack are those who feel entitled to Black people the most. I'm going to leave you with this. After every instance of police brutality or during every election season, it is clear that America looks to Black people, Black women specifically, to be the moral pulse of this country. And so, when you see that Black people are not aligning themselves with the Zionist cause, if you find that we are not cheering on the bulldozing of Palestinians, instead of looking at us like we have a character flaw, instead of looking at us like we get special treatment, maybe it's because we know apartheid, segregation, genocide, and an attempted elimination of a people when we see one. Just putting that out there.
What a lot of people don't realize about Martin Luther King Jr. was that he fought side by side with the Jewish people against anti-Semitism, and the Jewish people fought side by side with him as well. And not only that, but Dr. King was a Zionist. He's someone who fought for the right for Israel to exist. And I think that is so important, especially as we see people more and more look at Zionism as such a negative thing, because they only hear negative parts of it and don't understand that you can oppose things that are happening in the Israeli government, but also believe in the Jewish homeland and believe that Israel has the right to exist, and that is something that Dr. King fought for.
This video is going to be about the weaponization and tokenization of Black folks and Black and Jewish folks as it relates to reiterating a certain politic around the crisis happening in the Middle East right now. Why was I scrolling through my feed the other day when I see this post? Amy Schumer receives a response from MLK's daughter after sharing footage of his support for Israel. And the videos that Amy posted were excerpts where MLK is saying that Israel has a right to exist, that it must exist, and that he is going to always fight against anti-Semitism. In response to Amy posting those clips of MLK, Bernice King, MLK's daughter, says, "Certainly my father was against anti-Semitism as I am. He also believed militarism along with racism and poverty to be among the interconnected triple evils. I am certain he would call for Israel's bombing of Palestinians to cease, for hostages to be released." It's important to keep in mind that when MLK made these statements, this was in the 50s and the 60s, so during the heyday of Black and Jewish solidarity and relationality, versus the 70s and the 80s, so obviously after his assassination, when what was the Black and Jewish alliance slowly started transforming into the Black and Arab alliance because the Black American community was and continues to be deeply critical of Zionism and its weaponization against Palestinian peoples. And this is all detailed in Mark Dollander's book, Black Power, Jewish Politics, would highly recommend. Jewish historian, by the way, before anyone comes at me. I'm going to say something really blatantly that I know is going to upset many of you, but I encourage you to stay open to me and to hear me. I'm going to need white-appearing Ashkenazi Jewish people to stop weaponizing Black folks and Black and Jewish folks to undergird and support your pro-Israel ideology. Because let me tell you how this comes off. It comes off as you tokenizing us and using us as tools to get your political point across. As if to say, hey, Black community, these historical figures that you deeply revere, they actually stand with us. All these random Black people that I've been posting on my stories over the last couple of weeks who have been saying anything even remotely pro-Israel, they agree with us and they share your optics and they belong to your community. So what are you doing wrong? Why aren't you standing with us? That's what it's giving. And if we're being real, tokenization is not some kind of new issue in the Jewish community, and I have the numbers to back it up. The Jews of Color Initiative is an organization that researches the lived experiences of Jews of color. And in one of their research initiatives, they polled respondents and found that 60% of JOCs have experienced tokenism in the US Jewish community. For reference, 2/3 of the US Jewish community is Ashkenazi, which means at some point, diasporically, they have had roots in Europe. I am also Ashkenazi. Being a JOC and being Ashkenazi are not mutually exclusive. I say all this to make a point. We have a horrible habit of tokenizing JOCs, and now we're seeing that translate just generally to Black people in this moment, and I want to raise your attention to it because it's harmful and it's not productive. Point in case, I published this video a couple of months ago in collaboration with a few other Black and Jewish creators. I'm not showing them here to just protect their privacy, and these are my own thoughts, not theirs. But essentially the premise of the video is that we're all saying back to back to back, this is what a Jew looks like. And we are demonstrating that one, it's possible to be Black and Jewish, and two, the Jewish community is deeply diverse. That was the message. Note that this video had nothing to do with the Middle East and made absolutely no mention of it. But suddenly, 4 weeks ago when the crisis emerged, the video jumps from what was about 9,000 likes to now over 25,000 likes, and it's getting shared everywhere. And you can see the shares as a creator. So when I go through and I look at where it's being shared and what people are saying, it's overwhelmingly people posting Israel flags, saying they stand with Israel, saying Israel has a right to defend herself, all that. And when I'm looking through the accounts of the people who reposted this video with those messages, 99% of them are not following me. What they probably did is they saw Black and Jewish in my bio. They went scouring through my page because a bunch of my videos around Black and Jewish stuff suddenly started blowing up during this moment and getting shared by people, not just this video. And they said to themselves, wow, what a great political opportunity to wag my finger in the face of any Black person who's not standing in solidarity with us right now. And the gag is the people that were reposting this video that didn't follow me, that probably had never heard of me or seen my face prior to this moment, but suddenly when I was convenient for them, they decided to tap in. They have no idea what the politics are of the people in this video. Black people are not your political tools. I am not your political tool. Do not repost my content right now to justify what is happening in Gaza. Thank you.
See that Israel must exist and has a right to exist and is one of the great outposts of democracy in the world.
My Jewish brothers and sisters said to me amid anti-Semitism anywhere, we don't need your support. We have enough Jewish power to deal with this problem ourselves. I would still take a stand against anti-Semitism because it's wrong, it's unjust, and it's evil.
So that's what Amy Schumer I'm sorry, y'all just all look alike to me. It must be the liplessness of it all. I don't know. Anyway, this is what she decided to post on her Twitter in defense of Israel. One thing about non-black people, specifically white people, whether they're Jewish or not, y'all are always going to bring up black people, our struggles, our trauma, and our black leaders, particularly Martin Luther King, in whatever argument you decide to come forth with. It's just another example of non-black people trying to ride the coattails of black progress, even though they didn't help with it. But the fact is, our civil rights leaders are not gods. We don't subscribe to everything that they say. But either way, y'all have some nerve using Martin Luther King Jr., whose main priority was the liberation of his people, African American people. But I can tell by the post that you make, like the one where you made that meme that said, then they come for the black community and I stood up because Black Lives Matter. Then they came for me, but I stood alone because I'm a Jew. And because you went on the Ellen show bragging about how you go at 10:30 a.m. every day back during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement to kneel and talk about George Floyd, that you think that you are deserving and that you can demand the support of black people. You did that because it was popular. But even if you didn't, there's that transactional support. But since you want to bring up Martin Luther King, you want to bring up history, right? Then let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Negroes Wanted ad that was posted by a Jewish man during slavery. Let's talk about this Dutch Jewish plantation owning, or the resale of 15,000 enslaved people on the Caribbean island. Let's talk about the 17% of the Caribbean trade in the Dutch colony being controlled by Jewish people, and how they try to justify it by saying it's not unique, as wealthy merchants across Europe of different faiths all participated. Let's talk about how 83% of Jews own slaves, compared to the 87% of Christians who did so. Let's talk about the fact that it says any Jew who could afford to own slaves and had need for their services would do so. Y'all are as guilty and your hands are just as bloody as the rest of your white counterparts. Let's talk about how the country you want black people, African people to defend are always and have been in African continent, killing off African people for diamonds. How you helped create the jewels we call blood diamonds. No, you do not get to sweep the history of your people under the fucking rug and demand black support. And that's from everyone involved, so that I'm clear. I don't know how you look 1 month old and 60 years old at the same time, but like I have said before, if God meant for y'all to be talking, he would have made your lips bigger. So go ahead and back down before I go get you working on one of my fields. 10 out of 10.
Love to use my skin color as an excuse to talk shit about my country. They are so in shock seeing a black person supporting Israel. Let me tell you something. When I say I stand with Israel, I mean I stand with my right to exist. I stand with my family and my friends. I'm a Jewish woman. And the fact that you didn't even know there are Jewish black people living in this earth is insane. And I was never converted to Judaism. I'm not adopted. I saw someone ask me in the comments if I'm adopted. No, I'm not. I was born Jewish to a Jewish mother. My mother, she's also a Jewish woman. She also was born to a Jewish mother, and all the way back. People are talking about how poorly black people are treated in Israel and saying, well, they don't even like your girl. What are you doing there? Let me tell you something. When my grandparents lived all the way in Ethiopia, they were literally hunted and chased and hated just because they were Jews, just because of their religion. I live here in Israel my whole life and I never felt hated. I never felt hunted just because I'm black. It's insane, right? And I know a lot of people are gonna comment, go back to where you came from. But this is exactly what I did. I came back to where my Jewish ass belonged to. So I belong in this fucking land, and I do not give a shit what you have to say about that. I seriously do not give a shit about that.
I've been hearing from some black people that they're being challenged to not support our Jewish friends during their time of crisis, during the terrorist attacks, and during this war that's being launched between Israel and Hamas. And I'd like to just say that I think this is a horrendous mistake, and it's not fair, it's not right, it's not just for black people to withhold their love and their empathy and their compassion from the Jewish people, because we wouldn't want that happening to us. We have the history. We've been through this before. We still feel that pain and feel that suffering. We are best equipped, maybe more than most, to show our love and show our support for the Jewish people right now. And if you're caught in this choice between doing something, showing love or not showing love, showing support or not showing support, I would just encourage you today to reach out to your Jewish friends if you have some, and if you don't have any, definitely lift up your prayers, and let's pray that this ends in a way that's right, that's just. I'm really upset about what's going on in Israel, because I just know that I wouldn't want that happening to my family or to my kids. And if we're not careful, we could embolden this to show up in different ways across the world. But despite that, don't get caught up in this choice between minimizing our own oppression through showing support for other people who are going through heartache right now. That's not right, and that's not how we should be leading in this country right now.
All right. This is for everybody who are using our black heroes and icons and legend to justify what happened on October 7th. As you can see, Martin right here was supporting the Jewish community, and the Jewish community was supporting Martin and the black community. That's not even a question, it's not for debate, it's history, it's in your face. Now, a lot of y'all are gonna say, well, Nelson said this, Malcolm said that. You know damn well if Nelson or Malcolm was here and saw what happened on October 7th, they would have spoke against it. That's not even a question. It's not for debate. It's a fact. If they would have saw these horrific events, they would have spoke against it. Now, let's say I believe these 75 years of oppression. Let's say I believe it. Black people have been through 400 years of oppression and still going through oppression till this day. Does that give me the right to go to my neighbor, unaliving his whole family, raping his woman, take his kids, put them in tunnels, abuse them? Does that give me the right to do that? Because of 75 years of oppression, 400 years of oppression, something that happened to my great-great-great-great-grandma. Now, I'm not saying that there's no injustice in the world. I understand that, I get it. The world is not fair. It's case by case. But me, my family, does not have the right to go attack another family because of what happened 400 years ago. 400 years of oppression, but you have never seen a black person do a terrorist act. We don't rape women. We don't kidnap children. We don't put babies in the oven to push an agenda. We don't do that. We're gonna march, all right? We're gonna march. We're gonna march to death. But we're gonna do it peacefully. That's what we're gonna do. Now, my brothers and sisters, if y'all are confused on who to support, I get it. If y'all want to be pro-peace, pro-life, I understand. But what we're not gonna do is support a T group. These people don't care about us. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. Let's not support them and let's not help them in their cause, because their cause is not righteous and the world is going to expose them. All right? Free the hostages and bring them home now.
So I'm Black and Jewish, and as you can imagine, I've been closely following everything unfolding in the Middle East over the last week and a half. And as someone who is firmly rooted in both the Black community and Jewish community, I can't help but notice certain pain points, contradictions, areas where we're speaking over and across one another, and I want to illuminate them. I can't bite my tongue anymore. So let's start with the Jewish community. Question: Is our support for racial equity contingent upon the politics of a single organization? Because that's what it's starting to feel like. You probably saw that some BLM chapters posted this graphic of one of the paragliders coming in with a little Palestinian flag. And understandably, many people in the Jewish community were upset about this. I know I was upset about this because, one, it trivializes the lives of those who were kidnapped and murdered at that festival. And two, it conflates Hamas with the Palestinian liberation struggle. And to be clear, I'm about Palestinian liberation and I'm anti-occupation all day, but this felt callous. And then all of a sudden, I start seeing posts like this, punch in the gut for tens of thousands of Jews who shelled out all that money for BLM, along with many white-appearing Jewish creators saying, hey, Black folks, we marched with you during the Civil Rights Movement. We marched with you during the summer of 2020. Now it's your turn to show up for us. So because this organization has expressed a sentiment that doesn't align with yours on this issue, you regret giving them money during the summer of 2020 to fight racial inequity? You regret giving them that money then for that cause? Because that doesn't make sense to me. Your feelings about the organization can change now, but why would you regret supporting them then for something that we were all organizing around? I also find it so disingenuous to say, hey, we marched with you, now you have to march with us. Coalition building and solidarity doesn't mean that we are going to unequivocally agree with one another on everything all the time. If you don't know how to disagree with the politics coming out of a community without actively recognizing that you still need to fight for their freedom, I don't know what to tell you. You don't understand what collective liberation is. We have to learn how to disagree with one another and still fundamentally recognize that our freedoms are intertwined, that if you're not free, I'm not free. So do I understand why Black folks feel like that sentiment is transactional? Yes, I do. Also, and I feel like this gets lost and it drives me absolutely bananas, but as someone who studies Black and Jewish solidarity for a living, I hate the way it gets framed as Jewish people helping Black people. Absolutely not. It was reciprocal. We were collectively fighting for our shared liberation, okay? Let's get that clear. But this has been and continues to be a pain point between our communities. As early as the late 20th century, Black folks were already starting to identify with the Palestinian struggle. What was the Black and Jewish alliance was transforming into the Black and Arab alliance. And it's been around the question of Israel and Zionism. Okay, fellow Black folk, y'all didn't think I wasn't gonna call y'all out on y'all stuff too, right? Because we're doing it all right here. I'm tired of seeing us transpose a US racial paradigm onto a situation where it does not apply. And by that I mean, I'm tired of us framing it as these white colonial people versus these brown oppressed people. Because in many ways that's what it has looked like in the US, but that's actually just not an accurate descriptor. It's ahistorical to describe what's transpiring right now through that lens. 60% of the Israeli population is Mizrahi, Sephardic. Obviously, there are Black and Jewish people like me. There are Asian Jewish folks. There are Latine Jewish folks. The Jewish community is deeply diverse, and this gets obfuscated and erased because the majority of the Jewish population in the United States is Ashkenazi, so diasporically has at one point had roots in Europe, and many of those folks are white appearing. So I think most Black Americans assume that all Jewish people are white or are white appearing or are racialized as white, and that's just not true. That is the particular demographic that we have in the United States. And even though a lot of those folks are white appearing, that whiteness has been deeply conditional across time and space. That's a whole nother conversation, but just to name, race is a transient and complicated thing. I think what's also been really painful is the overall erasure of Jewish pain. And this definitely isn't exclusive to the Black community. I'm seeing this all around, but I'm seeing it in the Black community as well. And so I want to address it. I understand centering the voices and lived experiences of Palestinian people right now, particularly when as a community, their story has been pushed to the margins for far too long. And this is really a reckoning moment where we get to truly see and hear them and critique the dehumanization tactics that have been weaponized against them for too long. I understand that impulse. Many Jewish people have a relative or a friend who's in this region of the world who's being directly impacted, right? Even for those of us who are about Palestinian liberation, who are anti-occupation, anti-genocide, all the things, are still experiencing pain right now and fear. I can be about those things and still see protests happening around the world where people are chanting, "Gas the Jews," and be fucking terrified. Like, both of those things can coexist at the same time. And while I understand that the overwhelming majority of people who are about Palestinian liberation don't share those sentiments, just like we're seeing a rise in Islamophobia, we're also seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, and that's going to invoke fear. Please don't get it twisted. I am not telling you to center the voices of Jewish people right now. What I'm saying is that simply acknowledging that Jewish folks are also experiencing this moment viscerally would go a long way. That's it. The way that tikkun olam shows up in my life, or the Jewish principle of world repair, that's what it translates to from Hebrew, is that we're all free or none of us are free. And that means I'm fighting for racial equity. That means I'm fighting against Islamophobia. That means I'm fighting against anti-Semitism. And I recognize that all these things have to be eradicated from the face of the planet for us to actualize the kind of world that we all wish to inhabit. What's not clicking about that? Your support for those things should be unconditional. Unconditional, regardless of what an organization says, or what individuals say or do. We're all free or none of us are free. And I need y'all to get that.
So this is all I got from this video. And it is amazing how people are so strong and bold enough to come out to defend bullshit, because man, that thing doesn't make any sense. When you know what is going on, it's absolutely wrong. And when people talk about it, you all scream anti-Semitism. Like, how does me saying that what is going on or what Israel is doing is wrong, how is that anti-Semitism? That doesn't make any sense. And I keep saying this. See, if anybody is standing with Israel over what is going on, over the genocide, like they keep asking, does Israel have the right to defend themselves? Everybody will say, yes, they do have the right to. But who are they defending themselves from? Let's even start from that. Who are they defending themselves from? Because I need to understand what they are defending and who is defending, like, you know, is anybody fighting them right now? I don't think so, but they are the ones fighting people. And everybody's saying Israel got the right to exist and all that. Okay, they got the right to exist, but do they have the right to commit genocide? No. I mean, see, I don't like beating around the bush or trying to make words sound so sweet and all that. I want you all to know that black people are not political. Like, stop using black people as a political tool. Or coming back telling us that Martin Luther King Jr. was with the Jewish back then during their own time, and they were with black people. So because they were black with blacks, they supported black people in one way or the other. So black people should also support what is going on right now. Excuse me. No, a reasonable person will not do that. And for those saying that I hope you support the Jewish that is going through it right now, because it is wrong to abandon your friends in their time of need. Like, what time of need? Are they really in need? Or they are the oppressors? I don't think they are in need, because they are already, there is even nobody fighting them that they are defending themselves, but they have over-defended themselves and extended their hands to other people by doing some certain things that shouldn't be done. See, I don't care if you are Israel or you are pro this or pro that. But if you are supporting what is going on right now, the oppressor that is going on, the genocide that is going on in Congo, in Sudan, in Palestine, and all that, sincerely speaking, I probably haven't seen anybody that is pro-Israel or supporting the genocide, because if we are friends and you are supporting genocide, I know people have political views and all that, but what is wrong irrespective, right? We won't even be friends. I won't be talking to you because you might wake up, excuse me, because you might wake up one day and harm me. Yeah. So let's just get this straight. I mean, you all should stop mixing all this up, telling us or trying to use black people as a tool against whatever that is going on, or trying to use it to emotional blackmail black people into supporting what they are not supporting. And also, why do you people need black support? Because I don't understand why you all are so keen with black people not supporting you or wanting them to support you. Support is not something you buy people to do. It is something that comes willingly. You know, people willingly come out to see that. And moreover, Palestine did not even beg or ask black people for support and other people. It is everybody looking and weighing what is going on and knowing that what is going on is absolutely wrong and standing on the right ground. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.